Content strategy and SEO often work hand in hand with each other. Over the last 20 years, we have relentlessly studied how written content and marketing automation have impacted conversion rates. And what we've discovered is that one of the most critical elements to your content strategy is not creating good messaging, but doing it through a compelling and engaging story. And this is where we go back to building a story brand. In the story brand approach, we break down the critical components it takes to create a great story, how to reduce noise, how to develop a frictionless message that's not easy for your ideal audience to embrace, but it's also sticky. Sticky means that your products and services stay top of mind. But let's face it, even if you told the best story in the world, if it's not optimized for search engines, it simply wouldn't be found. But our approach takes your story one step further by SEO optimizing your content for specifically targeted keywords. And then nurturing those visitors down the funnel, we're able to turn cold leads into warm or even hot prospects. Ultimately, qualified prospects will end up at landing pages like the ones you see here. On a landing page, we present the opportunity to download a content upgrade. Essentially, prospective clients will trade their contact information in exchange for ebooks, white papers, exclusive video content, infographics, or any materials that they're looking to acquire. However, when they provide their information and select submit, they're opting into our automation system that places a tracking code called a cookie on their computer or mobile device. That cookie allows us to track engagement with our marketing. Let me walk you through what that looks like. For example, let's say we're going to create a buyer persona for, say, Jim Halpert. This is an example of our HubSpot marketing platform. And then in this buyer's journey for Jim Halpert, we're going to define Jim as an avid cyclist living in Philadelphia, PA. He's been having this nagging back pain for the last 6 months, and he finally gets to the point that he wants to do something about it. Jim found this orthopedics practice through the keyword spine specialist in Philadelphia. From there, he went to the spine specialty page. On the spine specialty page, he downloaded the Back Pain Cyclist ebook. In downloading that ebook, he got a cookie or tracking code on his computer. Our system automatically began to drip market to him. The first email was called 5 Back Stretches That Relieve Back Pain, which he opened. The second was non-surgical options for back pain, which was delivered but not opened. And the third was understanding a spinal assessment, which was opened. And finally, our system put him on a back pain newsletter. And that is how we went from a lead score of 0 to an 80. Now I want to skip ahead to something we call the buyer's journey. I'd like to bring Chris back to the stage to take us through that.
Remember when we talked about buyer personas? The ultimate goals of those exercises was to get the right message to the right client at the right time. The buyer's journey takes that concept one step farther. Let me explain. Even though you might not believe this, not everyone is in a position to buy your products and services. In fact, there might be countless reasons why anyone chooses one product over another. So let's walk through the psychology of not only why people buy, but when people buy. The buyer's journey is traditionally broken down into 3 stages: awareness, consideration, and decision. To best illustrate this, I'm going to use an analogy of buying a car. When you go and you buy a car, you never just buy the first car on the first lot that you see. Usually the journey begins if your car broke down or you're looking for something new. That's the awareness stage. In the consideration stage, you're asking yourself, what kind of vehicle am I looking for? Am I going to get a sedan, an SUV, or maybe even a sports car? Then maybe by the decision stage, you may already know what type of vehicle you're going to get. Let's say in this case, an SUV. Now you just need to figure out what make, model, color, and dealership, etc. that you're going to be looking for. So in the buyer's journey, all of this goes on in your subliminal. And this is how you ultimately choose the car you're going to buy. That's not exactly rocket science, but as marketers, we use these psychological techniques all the time. Whether we're trying to sell a new car, or in this instance, whether we're trying to give people information on whether spine surgery is a good idea. So now let's look at the buyer's journey for orthopedics. Let's say you're looking for spine surgery. In the awareness stage, you've developed back pain that just won't go away, and you're finally deciding to do something about it. And you research which provider accepts your insurance. Then in the decision level stage, you choose one provider over another. Again, this is not rocket science. This is marketing 101. But the problem is that most companies end up building their website with only limited awareness content and maybe one or two decision level pages. Maybe like a contact us page. We talk all the time about pushing clients down the funnel, but we rarely create content that nurtures through the process. How can you push someone down a funnel that doesn't even have a middle? You can't. But that's how average companies build websites. But great companies commit to developing an editorial plan that builds out awareness, consideration, and decision level content. Enter the sitemap target page. Now here's where it gets really exciting. It's when you connect your buyer's journey to marketing automation. Now let's pretend like a prospective client is interested in your products and services and they visit a consideration level page on your website. Assuming they've got a cookie on their computer from previous efforts, when they leave your website, a marketing automation email is going to get sent out to their inbox. And that email will have more in-depth content in it. It might have an opportunity to download a decision level ebook or maybe watch a video. But essentially, what we've done is we've pushed them down the funnel from awareness through consideration to decision. So now that you understand how the buyer's journey works in relation to your content strategy, now what we have to do is we have to figure out how does content compound that effort. So I'm going to bring Todd back on the stage, and he's going to talk to you about editorial calendars.
Thanks, Chris. The single most important part of content strategy comes down to developing an editorial calendar. An editorial calendar allows our clients to go from being reactive marketers to being proactive marketers. Let me explain what I mean by that. Henry Thoreau is correct when he said, "We live lives of quiet desperation," which means that it's very easy to do marketing in a short sprint, then take your foot off the gas and do very little marketing for a while. For example, you might have a trade show that you sprint to get ready for, then after the trade show, you sort of go back to your regular responsibilities. Then a few months later, Christmas season comes around and you go right back to sprinting again. Then after the season, you might relax again for a bit. This is textbook reactive marketing and it doesn't work. Our goal is to be as proactive as possible. With proactive marketing, you'll be able to let your stakeholders know what content is going out the next month, the next quarter, or possibly even the next year. So, we designed our editorial calendars to be about 80% structured and 20% nimble. We do this to allow for the constantly changing world of business. The calendar is customized to your company and its content's needs, but also includes the content type, what mediums it'll be used in, what keywords we'll be optimizing for, and where it fits in the buyer's journey. Therefore, you'll have the ability to identify what patterns and what consistency levels it takes to reach your goals. When you communicate consistently with quality content, your results compound. We've seen it countless times. Your editorial calendar will be connected to collaborative docs like Google Docs. Collaborative docs will look something like this. On this document, our content writing team has written content that is designed to rank on major search engines. What you'll also notice is that when we optimize the content, we optimize for certain keywords. In this instance, it was for back, neck, and spine problems. Once the content is run through an internal audit, now our technology does something very powerful. Before an article is even published, our software is able to analyze what companies are on the top 10 results of the first page of Google for the keywords we are targeting. And it outlines the revisions that need to be done to your article to outperform your competition. So in this example, it says that you have a very poor chance of beating your competition. Why is that? it only scored your content as a 3.7 out of 10 total points. When it compared this page's readability to your competitors, it also missed the mark. After that, it looks at word count and identified that it was only 698 words, which is about 140 words short of your competition. Then finally, it looks at the keywords you're trying to optimize for. It will show you which keywords you should highlight first and which other ancillary keywords, also called LSI keywords, you should add into your content. Once our software does this analysis, it gets sent back to our writing team to make the required revisions. Then we send it to you, the client, to give it a last look to bless for final review. Once it's been approved, we mark it on the editorial calendar and we publish the content on your behalf. The number one question we get is, how do we know your writers can write according to the sophistication or the technical level of my particular industry? That's a very good question, and I think I can answer it in several different ways. One of the first things we do in the gap assessment and onboarding is take a tremendous amount of notes, and then we add them to your case notes. Our case notes are used to understand all of the critical details about your company, from industry specifics all the way down to essential buzzwords. The next thing we do is we interview the subject matter experts from your company on a recorded line. The average 1-hour phone call can result in about 60 to 90 days worth of content. Before we wrap up on content strategy, I want to walk you through something very important. So let's just say you have a website that gets 10,000 visitors per month and you have a 2% conversion rate. This would equate to about 200 leads per month. But let's just say your goal is 300 leads per month. Your knee-jerk reaction might be to crank up the lead generation and bring in 15,000 visitors to your site. But in actuality, that's more difficult and significantly more expensive, and will likely take more time than we have allocated within the scope of your project. But you know what makes even more sense and is significantly less expensive? What if we look at improving your conversion rate? The number one way to do that is to go back, rewrite your existing content in a way that is more engaging. With this approach, by only increasing your conversion rate by only 1%, I'm going to be able to hit your sales goal of 300 leads with the same amount of traffic.